Well, if I was going to try to describe Kauai as a biologist, I'd say it's interesting that you have kind of like both extremes. Up in the mountains, you have wilderness areas that still have lots of native Hawaiian forest that's remaining up there and lots of interesting native Hawaiian animal and plant species. And on the other side, you have the ocean. Along the coast, you have, of course, the undeveloped ocean. And so we're kind of in between two, really beautiful extremes here on Kauai. But one of the things that people really love about Kauai is the fact that it's a little bit more laid back. There's less people, more rural, and more ability to get out into the wilderness and that kind of thing. But Kauai is changing over time. There's more people and there's more development over time, and along with that, it's brought some challenges for doing conservation work. With some of the wildlife. With every introduction of a new plant or a new animal or something like that, these things all have effects on the native population of the forest up in the mountains and also along the coastline. So that there's, as there's more and more human development, there's more and more challenges for trying to protect the native community. Here in Hawaii, there's some specialized shearwaters. They're ocean birds. They're completely pelagic, which means they spend their entire lives at sea. They don't come to land for anything except for nesting. They have to have a solid place to lay an egg. And when they reach full size and they're going to fly for their first time, which happens during the fall of the year, they take flight for the first time and fly out to sea. It's their first flight ever. They don't have any experience with the outside world. They only have their natural inborn navigation skills. They understand and are able to actually read the stars and look at the stars on the horizon and the moon, and that's what they use to find the ocean. So in recent years, as human development has increased and there's more and more artificial lighting on the island, these birds are running into trouble because as they come flying out of the mountains, come out of that high mountain valley and come out over the coastline of Kauai and see all these artificial lights, that screws up their ability to find their right way to the ocean. They might end up in trouble because of that.
So to minimize the impacts to shearwaters, migratory seabirds flying over or nearby Pacific Missile Range facility, our primary conservation measure that we've implemented this year is a dark skies program. We're reducing the amount of unnecessary lighting and or shielding necessary lights to reduce the attractiveness to shearwaters. So in addition to the implementation of our Dark Skies program this year, we also have a very interesting study where we're using radar to track newel shearwaters that might be flying overhead at night. It's very hard to pick up these birds with the naked eye at night, but by using these radars, we develop a much better understanding of not only how many birds are flying overhead, but how they're flying as well. So this is really interesting data. We hope that these conservation measures collectively that we put into place, into action here at Pacific Missile Range facility will serve as an example for other installations as well as our partners here on Kauai to be able to minimize their impacts to newel shearwaters as well.
When I'm thinking about what I like about the island of Kauai, two things come to mind. And it's obvious: the people and the natural beauty of Kauai. Those two things. Now those end up being a conflict almost for conservationists sometimes, because the more people you have, the harder it is to preserve the natural beauty. But everybody here, I think, appreciates the natural beauty of Kauai. Everybody appreciates the beauty of the ocean, the beauty of the mountains. You go up in the mountains and it's just something there that's invaluable, and I think that's the reason why we are working to preserve as much as possible Kauai's native and natural resources.